G'day guys, welcome back to SuperCoach with DR and welcome to the round 3 review. Hope you had a ripper of a week yourself. Look, for me, it was a bit of a tough one. No real highlights, but I suppose in saying that it could have been a lot worse. I actually went up in the ranks. I was pretty surprised about this because I thought I was around par, but you can see from the season rank there, up 11,228 spots to be sitting at 11,385. Much better, and I've been saying this for the last few weeks, but much better than my start to last year. I think the team is struggling in a few different ways, and I'll go through that in a little bit, but I'm going to keep this one short because we've got a really tight turnaround this week. It's already Monday night. We've got a game on Thursday. I need to get, obviously, this round review out. We've got the Stocky as well as the SuperCoach Swordplay Potty. So I'm going to get on to the Stocky straight away after this. So we'll keep this one very brief. Obviously, go through my potential trade plans. And I do apologize, but the last couple of round reviews, the trade plans that I ended the video with, I didn't actually go through with, but things happen. You know, there's a lot to think about a little bit later on the week. Team sheets come through, you get more information. So I do apologize about that. I have been meaning to put up a late video with my final trades, but just haven't had time. So I'll try to do that this week if the trades aren't the same as what I'm planning on going through with anyway. So that's it for the intro, guys. As I said, hope you had a good one. Let's see how the team's actually looking. Now, before we get into it, I better start with my trades from last week. Now, like many, I did trade out Hayden Young, a bit of a dagger to the heart, and I knew this was going to happen as soon as I traded the man out. But in positive news, I did bring in Luke Ryan for him. I think Luke Ryan will be a much safer season-long keeper. And at the moment, it's hard to argue that he won't finish in the top 2 to 3 for season average. So I'm pretty happy with that trade, even though bloody Young did score really, really well. The other trade I made was getting Tom Powell in. So a real welcome addition to the side there. Out went Jesse Hogan. And who else do I actually bring in? Off the top of my head, I need to look around the team here because I did use a boost. Yes, it was Massimo D'Ambrosio, and out went Nick Caulfield. So at the end of the day, those trades are okay. But as soon as I bring in Massimo, obviously he gets his floor game. These things happen. There's lots of hindsight, as I've been saying for the last few weeks as well, but we do move on. I'm pretty happy with them at the end of the day. So let's have a quick look at the side. So Luke Ryan, 130. As I mentioned, I brought him in for Young and no complaints whatsoever. Fair bit of junk time at the end of the game. I think it might have been like 8 kicks at 100% in the last quarter. So right with that pick, as I said, really, really safe for a season-long keeper there. Nick Dacos, I didn't do the Dacos dump myself, but 112 points, a little bit subpar. If you look at his home and away score against the Lions last year, it was a 150 plus. So we wanted a little bit more, but remember, if you did trade him out, you'll need to 100% bring him back in. So I'm okay with holding him, but I wish that I had gone to my original preseason plan and faded him, but again, it is what it is. Now, I'm almost calling him a must-have. I need to think carefully because it's a big term to use, but coming up in the Stocky this week, I think that's probably the symbol that you're going to see next to his name because he's doing everything. You're paying a little bit more for him now, but got a really nice buy. I think that you've just got to get him in ASAP because when it comes to top premium defenders, this bloke is certainly right at the top of the list. So getting plenty of the ball. It's a great role back there, North Melbourne, half-backer, and we know he's got the talent. So definitely get Shees in if you haven't. D'Ambrosio, I bought into my side this week. Now, he recovered slightly here. I think he was only on about 25 points at half-time, and I was worried. I thought, I've cursed him again. I still may have. He didn't even reach a 70, but what we're expecting from him, we're hoping for 80 plus, but 68, is that going to be more realistic? It's been a little bit up and down, hasn't it? But the pattern is going down, down, down. Hopefully it goes back up for us this week, but still happy with that big price rise. And I think he's in the top 10 highest owned players. So that's all good. Howe's shocking for a 26. He was on the minuses after quarter time. A lot of the rookies were this week. We'll talk about Toby Pink in the Stocky. A very slight recovery, but that was absolutely terrible for those that brought him in. But Howe's, we can forgive him after a really hot start to the season for a rookie. The issue here is that cash gen, it's going to be halted all of a sudden with this really low score in his system for the next couple of rises. So I plan on keeping in for a little while, but Yeah, it's really unfortunate because he was tracking to make a really quick 150K. It's going to be a much slower burn now. I kept on to Zach Reed, use him as a loop. Williams for a 70. This is all good. Again, people probably want a little bit more, but I'm not complaining with the 70. Hopefully, again, better for the run. And Marty Hall, well, he wasn't even the emergency this week and he ended up scoring better than Howes. And, well, Massimo only got 16 points more than him. But look, what happens this week? Does May come back in? I'm not too sure. While May's out of the side, I think that he's safe, but I do worry about him when May comes back in. What I'm worried about here overall is a bit of a lack of cash in on the bench. So I missed out on Dempsey, Carroll, and Jeremy Sharp. I think that's going to hurt me in the long run. And I have used 2 boosts as well. So, yeah, not looking fantastic in some ways. But onto the midfield. Bonds. Now, Bevo, you tried to Bevo this man, play him in the forward line. And look, in all seriousness, he was probably a little bit sore, knee, ankle issue last week. But Bevo couldn't Bevo him because even though he played the majority of his time up forward, kicked 3 goals, 4 contested marks, and laid 8 tackles. I think it was only 16 touches, so only half of what he usually does there, but he still managed to get a 110, was scaled 2 points. It was looking like a 108. So as my captain, very disappointed, but what could have been with Bond. He's an absolute champion. You just can't keep this man down, but we want a lot more from our captain's score. My VC was Zach Butters. And talk about slow starts to the game. This was not looking good, but he did manage to salvage something. Now, one thing I'm not sure about is why I got scaled down. I think he was on about 107 at the end of the game. And then I checked this out and he's gone down 9 points. So if anyone can explain that to me, that would be much appreciated. But yeah, very disappointing considering his massive game last week. But in saying that, these things tend to balance out. And his average is 130, so we're not complaining with Zach Butters. Oh, Ollie Wines. Now he got scaled down a little bit as well. He was actually on 102, so I was rejoicing. Finally, 100-plus game, but the average is 96.3, and he gave us a 96. So you can pretty much lock in, it seems, a 95 score from Ollie. Now, for some of us, we just want to move that on straight away and upgrade him to an Uber Primo where we're looking for 130 plus, 140 type scores. For some of us, we may be with a 120 type player like a Jack Steele. And for other people, you may be just happy leaving him there at this stage for a safe 95. I'm probably in that camp at the moment. If I hadn't have used 2 boosts and so many trades already, he'd probably be a candidate for me to move on now. But in my current position, I think I'm just going to hold on to him at this stage anyway. I don't love it, but I think I have to. James Jordan, 65. I don't think I even used his score at the end of the day, which was very, very disappointing here. He's a hold this week because he comes up against West Coast. When he comes up to his bye, that may be a little bit of a different story, and I think that lots of people will look to move him on. Look, it's not a disaster, 65, and he's still making money here, but we need sort of 75s, 80, and a little bit more than that for that cash gen to rapidly rise. So a little bit unfortunate there, but in good news, his teammate, Matty Roberts, another 98. So we can really rely on this bloke as an on-field option. Isn't he just fantastic? I had a heap of notes on him for the stock market, but I did say last week that it wasn't too late to jump on him. I think that it is now. You can't jump on him now. The ship has absolutely sailed, but if you either started with him or you jumped on him before, or even after that first price rise, you'd still be a very, very happy coach. But love Matty Roberts, just a really good talent. McKercher for a 74, did a little bit more defensive work this week, a little bit shaky at the start, but then there was like a 5-minute period where he just really showed his class, 4 quick touches, and we thought, yes, here we go. But look, 74, it's his lowest score so far of the season, but if that's a floor type game from Colton McKercher, I'm very, very happy owning him, making money as well. And again, just a great on-field option each week. Sanders with the 77, again, great on-field option, not making as much money as some other players due to that high price and having that lower score in his system early. But now that that will be out of the system, he'll start to continue to make more cash now. So again, just happy to have him on field. Now I did, bloody hell, Darcy Wilson. I just didn't see this coming. Nothing like the preseason game. But anyway, I did emergency him just to see how he scored. But after he got that 25, it was pretty much a free hit, bringing Clark on. And he got a 68, so got 3 points more than James Jordan. So pretty happy with that. Look, with Clark, He's an interesting one because he's never going to get a heap of the pill, I don't think. Did a couple of impressive things, but again, looked fumbly at times, a lot cleaner than what he has in the first couple of weeks, mind you. And if you trade him out early, you may be regretting this because that 13 or 14, whatever it was, will now be out of his system. And he's got a 60 and what's that, a 68. So maybe a bit more of a slow burn, but with some of the injuries that Geelong have at the moment, he's getting a fair bit of time in there. So I'm all happy having Jai Clark. Did I call him Jordan Clark? I might have called him Jordan, but happy having Jai Clark at the moment. Tommy Green didn't play. Geez, I'm looking forward to getting him back on the field this week. Sam Berry was an absolute failure of a pick, but I'm going to correct that this week. And Wilson, as I said, extremely disappointing. His cash gen is going to halt and is going to be an extremely slow burn. It just depends how much patience you've got with this fella and what other rookie options come up on the bubble. So really disappointed with that. Before I do anything, though, let's just get Tommy Green back on. That'll look a lot better like that. We'll work out, actually, I'll quickly work out loops here. So we've got Carlton, Melbourne are first. So yeah, it's an easy one, I think. We'll get, do you go Howes or Hoare? We'll see what even happens here with the team sheets, but I'll do Hoare as emergency for now. All right, so that's the mids. Into the rucks now. My man Spills, 177 from Max Gawn as the VC. So well done, mate. We did mention the Swordplay potty. We put up a nice picture of Spills. He'd put on that dating site and picked up a missus a couple of days later, mind you. But his plan was to go with a high ceiling VC option, and it was Max Gawn. So well played, Spills. Kudos to you, brother. I didn't go there myself. Wish I had him in the end, but at least I own him. There's about 50% of the comp that don't own this bloke, and it's really scary because all of a sudden, 643. What's his break even? Damn, it's under 80. So it's a scary non-own, a very scary anti-pod Max Gawn. Yeah, no good if you don't own him. I don't know what you're going to do. I suppose get him in ASAP. And Brodie Grundy, this was fantastic. Very, very impressed with Brodie this week. I put a tweet out saying that if he gets within, say, 20 points of Tim English this week, I'm going to count that as a huge win. And actually did better than that. So what was English? 124, I think, from memory. So got within 10 points. If you did make the move this week, and I know many did, or when I say many, I know a few coaches that did, going Grundy up to English. Long term, I think that's a really solid investment. But you would have been a little bit spewing because Grundy now comes up against West Coast, and English against West Coast. Well, I was prepared as a known owner to be facing a 150 plus. So I think that worked out really well. You'd be pretty disappointed as an English owner, I think, after last week. So I think the play with Grundy is to definitely keep on to him this week. And then you could look to flip at the buy. The only issue that you've got there is, let's just say he gets a 130 plus against West Coast, then the break even comes down. All of a sudden, you're making money on him again, and he's looking okay. Are you thinking, geez, could he be a keeper? There's a lot of question marks around whether or not you trade him out if that happens. Look, if he gets a solid 100, let's just say against West Coast, then you probably say to yourself, look, if that's the best he can do there, then let's just move him on now. He's got the buy. Let's get another score on there. But yeah, we'll come to that bridge, or we'll cross that bridge, I suppose, when he gets to his buy. But a definite hold against West Coast this week. Forward line, Isaac Heaney. Wowee. Now, I called it. I think it was in the first Swordplay pod. I said, boys, out of all players in the comp, midfields included, this guy will easily be averaging in the top 10. And they had a bit of a laugh at me. I called him for the Brown laugh that week as well. It looks like it's going to come to fruition here in the short term anyway, because a 148, this bloke went bang, his highest score of the season. And again, congrats if you did manage to have the captaincy on him. I had Butters into Bond. Damn it, I wish I had have gone there. But what a talent he is. If you were someone that was scared off Heaney being burnt by him and had just refused to bring him in, ouch, it really, really hurts. Do you still bring him in now? Well, he's arguably the hottest player in the comp. So it's completely up to you. I'm not going to give you advice on Heaney anymore because I said bring him in for the first couple of weeks. But if you still haven't, then I suppose that's on you. Choose to do what you want, but just in sublime form at the moment. And for me this week, who's he coming up against? It's West Coast. come on, he's an easy captaincy or VC option. You've got to have him in the loop this week. So, yeah, big fan of Isaac Henny. He's just been smashing out of the park lately. Now, Dogger, a 98, so no disaster here, but he just had pretty much no influence on the game. Now, do you take this as a negative or a positive? I'll look at it as a glass half full approach here. The fact that he really didn't have any impact and was just 2 points off triple figures, I'll take that. I'll take that. Now, coming up against Carlton this week, against Conning, I'm hoping they can score well. We'll see what happens there, but still very happy with this pick. When Shrek, we'll discuss him. When Shrek does come back, then we've got a little bit to think about. But for now, I'm just going to leave him there and not worry too much. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Now, this was one of my trade-ins this week. Tommy Powell, that CBA rate was just too hard to ignore. And again, spent a lot of time in the middle. Unfortunately, a couple of clangers and some scaling here. Could have easily got to the ton. Very, very happy with this trade-in. Very happy with this performance because he made some really nice coin. That average has continued to rise. And best of all, I think there's a red-hot chance, looking at the other options that we've got this year or currently anyhow without DPP, that he could be a keeper. If you compare his role to other forward line options, then it's up there with the absolute best. So I'm really happy with Tom Powell. And depending on what I do with my trades this week, I think that I may have basically the 4 must-have forwards. There may be 5 at this stage, but yeah, I'll be pretty happy with how my forward line's going. I think if I go through the trades I'm looking at. Now, Nat Fyfe, originally before this next bloke here just absolutely pooed the bed, he was going to be on the chopping block for me this week, but just due to Billings' poor form, he gets another week for me. Now, he's gone 100 and then 269s, exactly the same score in the last couple of weeks. I hope that I can see a triple figure score again, but he looks to be tiring a little bit. We know that he's handball happy, but damn, it's just not enough at the moment. I'm hoping that he can at least, come on, give me a 90 this week. And that, I don't think he's going to be subbed. I think we're okay there, given the fact he had a bit of a rest the other week. But it's always a slight concern in the back of our minds because we know he's going to be managed at times, but I'm not expecting it to be consecutive anyway. So a bit of a watch at the moment, and another bad performance or subpar performance this week, then again, could definitely be on the chopping block. Now, Billings, this is just shocking. Like, just nothing good about this pick. A real wasted trade. I bought in Hogan, I bought in Billings. So many regrets, when I didn't go for a Sharp, a Carroll. And the other thing I haven't mentioned as well is that at the start of this year, I said, I'm going with a different approach. I'm going super aggressive. And it just doesn't really suit my style. And I do regret that a little bit because I have made a couple of silly decisions when I look back at it and look back at it from a sensible point of view. But again, it is what it is. But Jack Billings, it just has not worked out. That 119, he looked absolutely sublime. I thought, here we go. Could even potentially be a keeper. But in 2 weeks, he's just looked shocking. Fat side of the wing, playing so wide, getting nowhere near it when he did get near it. As I said, clangers, just nothing I like about this pick anymore. He's going to have a buy in a couple of weeks as well. So as much as I hate it, it is definitely a waste of a trade. I've done a bit of merry-go-round stuff here, but I just need to get rid of this bloke and bring in a premium in his place. Oh, what a failed trading. I'm spewing on Billings. What an absolute spud. Harley Reid, 54. How long has he got on our side as well? Very, very highly owned player. And again, I copped a little bit of flack for considering fading him. It may have been the best decision at the end of the day. We could be getting a Buku instead of a Harley Reid, saving 100-odd K. Yeah, it hurts, doesn't it? But lots of us are hurting as well. He's got the talent to come out with a big game, but West Coast are in shambles at the moment. What's his ceiling going to be playing in a team like that with no one else around him to give him that support? I'm really not too sure, but we're all suffering, as I said. And Catters and Sexton didn't play this week. Good to get them back and just making some money for us, which is best of all. So let's get into these trades. I've got 164,700. So I did want money in the bank for a little bit of a move this week. Let's talk about who the trade out candidates actually are. So we're not looking at either Ryan, Dacos, or Sheasel. Just bought in Mass. Howes still has money to make. That's super disappointing, but I'm not moving him on yet. Zach Reed, I won't move. Williams, no. And Horn, no. We do have a couple of backline options this week in regards to our rookies and our downgrade options, but I don't think that I'm going to consider a defensive option at the moment. I could bring Dacos into the midfield, for example, but I'm just not going to expose my backline like that. So I don't think the defensive options are right for me this week. So Bont Green, Butters, keep me onto them. Obviously, Wines, I mentioned before, they're going to hold him. Jordan could be a candidate, but coming up against West Coast this week, I think I'll just keep him, then consider what to do with him at the bye. Roberts, absolute lock to stay in, as is McKercher and Sanders. This bloke is a real obvious trade out, even though his break even is at -2, -3. I don't think he's going to get a game. So he's 220 odd K sitting on the bench. I think it's just best to move him on. Break even 11, Darcy Wilson. Still a little bit of coins to make, but this is going to really halt that cash gen. This is a lot better this week. As I said, that scores out of the system. So we hold Jai Clark. Gorn we hold. Grundy we hold. Livingston, here's a loop. All these blokes we hold here. Fife is a candidate. That break even. A little bit of coin to make, you'd hope, but not much. This is a bloke that we've got to get rid of. 60-something break even. 55. Billings has to go. Read a little bit more money. These two will make a bit more cash. I hope Sexton's named. I assume that he will be. So I'm not using a boost. I've already used 2 so far. I don't even really want to trade this week, but I think that I have to. I've got a bit of a plan in mind. So if we look to trade these 2 players out, it's Sam Berry. If I did the single trade, that's 391, but can't really do much there. And we're going to get Billings out as well. So 697K. I don't have enough money to go with an ultra premium type pick here, like a big midfielder or one of those big backs like a Houston, your Stewarts. So I'm going to look to get a forward line player in. Rookie wise, what do we actually do? So for me, probably the one that I look to go is going to be Sam Darcy. Only 54 this week. The thing that worries me is that this guy could get bevoed at any time. Lob actually performed super well in the reserves this week, and Darcy really didn't set the world on fire. I did say the week before that after his performance the previous week where he got that 100+ against the Suns, that his job security short-term should be absolutely rock solid, because after that performance, we know he's the future. You know Lob's not. You've got to put a little bit of faith in him, and even after a down game, I said this last week, you've got to persist with him. Surely Bevo does, but what Bevo does is anyone's guess. Look what happened with Libba. And again, Libba may have been a little bit sore. Maybe we can't blame Bevo, but I blame Bevo for most things. Even when it doesn't have anything to do with the Bulldogs, it's just a really easy target, I think. So Darcy's probably the one that I would look at there. As I said, the backline options, I can't really do much with, given the fact that Dacos would have to come to the midfield, which I don't want to do. The other thing here is that I want these 3 blokes on field. So let's just say that I do go Sam Darcy. I've got a spot in the midfield. Now, 573K, I think what I'm simply going to look to do here, and I'm not really worried with not having Reed on field. I'm happy to just send him to the bench about what he's been producing lately. The only trouble is here that I will be running with one of Sexton, Cadman, or Darcy on field. But again, I'm comfortable enough with that. The bloke that I didn't start with, who I think is pretty much a must-have forward, is Sam Flanders. So if I was to do that, that gives me 45,400 in the bank, and it gives me Heaney, Jackson, Flanders, and Tom Powell as well. I think that's pretty much the awesome foursome there. You'd love to have a Harry Mackay. And I tell you what, that move was pegged in for me 2 weeks ago. Spills and I had basically promised ourselves we were doing it. But one thing led to another. I ended up with Jesse Hogan. Silly me, being too aggressive again. Just couldn't wait to pull the trigger on McKay. But I'm pretty happy with how the forward line's looking then. You've got to play Darcy, maybe a Sexton, depending on what the matchups are. Fife is okay, but again, you maybe look to move him on. But that's pretty good with the forward line at the moment. I'm missing at least an Uber here on most of the competition, and possibly a D4 premium that other people may have as well. But I think that I may have the advantage here in the forward line. Dempsey, though, if you've got him, that may be a little advantage that you've got over me, possibly. There's no other forward line options that I'm looking at. You could go your Harry, okay, but I think it's too late. Is it? Can't believe I ended up doing this move with Hogan. Absolutely spewing. So yeah, well his break even's 19. Projected to go up 41k. Hook up and got Freo. Look, we'll see. I'm going to complete those trades for now. As I said, I'm going to keep this one really short. And during the stocky, I'll talk about other blokes I'm looking to potentially trade in as well. Jack Steele is one that I would love. I could actually do that, but yeah, I like the Flanders DPP. He's coming fresh off his bye. His break even 73. He's got money to make. I just like the Flanders option a little bit more than the Steele option. So going into this week, we'll get this back up as well. Going into this week on field, and it is not a bye week either. So a little bit of relief there in a way. But Ryan Dacos Sheasel, yes, I've got all the premiums on. All right, so let's see what I'm going to do in regards to looping here. We've got Reed as a loop who plays the third game, so I can loop a Melbourne player. I think it's just going to be Hoare at the moment if he's named. He may not be named depending on what happens with May, but we'll see what happens there. If he's not and it's an easy decision, then Williams just comes on. Nothing really lost there. In the midfield, so I don't actually have a loop there. Jordan's playing West Coast. Robert's playing West Coast. McKercher, Sanders. I think that's easy there. Gawn, Grundy, yes. Would you be bold enough to chuck the captaincy on Grundy? Could that be something you could do? Who knows? Who knows? I'm probably going with Isaac at the moment. Yes. So I've got no loops here. So Darcy's coming up against Geelong. Sexton has the Giants. And obviously Cadman has the Suns. Look. So he'll be doing some ruck relief work if he stays in. So I might go with Darcy. It's either going to be probably Darcy or Sexton. Cadman could be an option, but yeah, I might just leave it at that for now. And in regards to the captain, so I've got Melbourne playing first off. You're very tempted just to go Maxi straight away. The issue I've got here, damn, is that Reed plays here. And then Livingston, who's been a really good loop in regards to timing fixtures so far, just happens to play the Swans. I'd really love to have Heaney as a VC because ultimately that's what you want to do. You want to have the bloke you think will go the highest as your vice captain so you don't get sort of locked into a 125 safe type score. Don't know if I'll have any other options. I won't have another loop. So Heaney's going to have to be my captain. So that's on a Saturday. So I've got 2 Friday night games here. And the first one. So I could be gone. Where am I going, Roberts? So I could be gone into Heaney. North Brisbane. You could go Sheasel into Heaney. I just worry that Sheasel probably doesn't have the ceiling that I'm looking for. Gone someone that does. No one else for North. Then you got Port, Essendon, Butters. Yeah, so the decision for me, it's definitely going to be Heaney captain this week. The decision is going to be, is it going to be Butters or is it going to be Gawn? So I'm going to check out with my brothers, Janeth and Ross from the third man up. Going to check out their captaincy data this week. That's where you need to go. We'll talk about it on the Swordplay Potty as well. But yeah, it's going to be one of those two. So either Butters or Gawn into Heaney for me. I'm going to loop Hoare if he's named. Not much I can do here. If anything, I'll just chuck it on, let's just say Harley Reid. Who are the Saints got? Richmond. I might start with actually Bugger Wilson. Lost confidence in him after last week. Everything's looking good. All right, well, that is it for the round review, guys. As I said, hope you had a good week. If you are struggling like me, and again, there are people in the 80K range at the moment. I was there last year, so when I'm saying I'm struggling, I'm certainly not struggling compared to some. But if you look at the overall look of my team, if you go to the bench, there's a lack of nice rookie options there. Looking to make some rapid cash gen. So that is certainly a concern for me, but I suppose it could be worse as well. So that is it for now, guys. Stock market will be up hopefully tomorrow night. That's the plan anyway, just before we actually record the Swordplay Potty. So plan is stocky out tomorrow night. We'll record the Swordplay Potty tomorrow night as well. Then that will be out on the Wednesday to give you a couple of days to listen to that before the Thursday night game. This is a tough thing being a content creator when you've got your 3 major things you put out each week. We've only got really, tonight, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. So I'm going to be a busy man. Lucky I'm on school holidays, but I love doing it, and always have a passion for the game of SuperCoach. So all the best of luck for this week, guys. I'll see you soon in the next one. And take care. See you later, bye.